Hey, this is Steve from Arc Academy. In this video, we are going to be making a grill using the Hobart Airforce 27i plasma cutter and the Hobart Handler 140. There's a lot of different ways you can make your grill, and there's a lot of things that you can use. If you wanted to, you could take a 30 to 50 gallon food oil container and make your grill out of that. Or if you wanted to as well, you could take a piece of sheet metal and hollow form it to your exact specifications. Now we have something special in mind here at Arc Academy. We are actually going to make our grill out of a stainless steel beer keg. I happen to skate for the Goose Island Beer Company hockey team, and they have been generous enough to provide us with that keg. We're also not going to make a freestanding grill. We happen to like to tailgate after our hockey games, so what we're going to do is we're going to make our grill mount into the trailer hitch on my truck. We're also going to add another feature where the grill will swing out, allowing us access to our tailgate and our bed to pull out all of our condiments and other things that we're going to be grilling with. Now that the pressure is released from the tank, what we want to do is we want to measure out and draw our door. And as you can see, we lined this up, we squared it up. Before we start plasma cutting, we really want to secure this guy to our welding table before we get going. We definitely don't want it rolling around while we're handling a plasma cutter. So very simple, what we're going to do is we're going to clamp it to an edge and put wood shims underneath it to chuck it into place. Very simple wood shims. I got some oak chunks just hanging around the shop. I'm going to put it on one side so the cut is straight down, and then just go ahead and put it on the other side. And I'm going to use some spring-loaded C-clamps to secure it in place to the edge of the table. There we go. Now that's pretty secure. It's not going to roll around. We're basically cutting a straight line for the top of our door. The easiest way to do that, any straight edge you may have in your shop. So I have just this handy dandy piece of 1/4 by 1, and I'm just going to line it up about a 1/4 inch away from our cut. Now that I have this clamped into position, I'm just going to check my work. Looks pretty good, so we're going to start cutting our door. Now that I have that stainless steel strap secured into place, it's going to act as our guide moving through that line. Now all we have to do is put our safety gear on and start cutting. Here's a list of the materials we're going to need for this project. We fabricated all our parts, we've done all of our cuts, we've drilled all our holes, and we've also prepped all the weld areas. Now, we're gonna move on from cutting and prepping into tacking and welding. The first thing we're gonna tack together is the lower arm. This is what's gonna go into the trailer hitch. This is our miter joint, and then we are also going to move on to this. This is the upper arm that attaches to this piece right here. This is the lower arm. This is where your 5/8 screw goes into. That's going to act as the axle for this joint. Now this right here, this plate is going to be welded to the keg. You don't want to weld a 1-inch square tube to the keg just because the keg, the wall thickness isn't that great, and if you overheat it, it's stainless steel, you're going to have a lot of distortion. So what we want to do is we kind of want to spread the heat out and make the plate larger so we have more surface area, and so it's going to be more stable. And these guys right here are going to attach the upper and lower arm together with a hitch pin. This guy is going to be 2 inches from this side, so when this guy swings out, this is a 1/2 inch longer than this part. It'll hit this and it'll lock it into place. So this is actually acts as the stopper. But we are gonna start with the lower arm assembly here and do our, we're gonna weld up this miter joint first. That is the arm and the extender for our keg. This is the trailer hitch mount, and this will be the mounting plate that we use for our keg. We'll weld this to the keg when it is ready after we fabricate the guts of the grill. So essentially what I'm doing here is just moving around so to prevent distortion and also to get as many of these guys that I can. So the trick to tacking expanded metal is try to hit the thick stuff and push the puddle into the expanded metals. And you want to go for the meat of the expanded metal. You don't want to hit the the nodes. All right. So that fits pretty good. Now what we want to do is we want to make a platform for our grate to rest on, and then we are going to make our door. Once in a while when you're working on a project, you hit a little snag and you have to do some impromptu engineering. Well, we just hit one of those little snags with the door here. So as you can see, the door is a little flared. It kind of sprung out a little bit after we cut it out, and it doesn't really meet evenly with the opening. So there's a couple different ways we can correct it. We can use heat, we can use an arbor press, we can try to bend it back into shape. But we also want the door to be a little bit more rigid. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna take a simple piece of 16 gauge steel. We are gonna outline this arc from the opening, and then we're going to weld rails onto the door and bend it back into shape as we are welding it. And this is pretty simple. All we have to do is take our keg here, set it on the floor, take our sheet metal, put it right up against the edge right here, and we're just gonna stick this guy, whoops, there we go. So a nice fit right there, and then we're gonna take our permanent marker and just outline it like so. Now, that will become the rails for the left and right arc to reinforce our door. And of course, what we're going to be using, we got this handy dandy little Airforce 27i. That's what we're going to be using. Clamp this to the table so you're nice and comfortable, and then we're going to get to cutting. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna put a little bit of stainless steel trim on the sides and the bottom edges to seal up the kerf. And there's the trim. Now all we have to do is trim the trim off with a grinder and then mount our door back onto our grill. The door is done, it's made, it's trimmed, it's got rails, it's reinforced. Now it is time to weld our weldable hinges onto the door. Don't overkill it. You want to just tack these on first, and then if they work, then put a bead on it. If you beat them up and they're off by a little bit, you're going to have a wonky door. Now that the hinges are tacked on, everything works, we're going to clean it up with a wire brush and then weld them into place. So there you have it, the door's all welded on. We got 2 weldable hinges, got 2 rails to reinforce it. We've already done the guts. Now all we have to do is put our hockey stick handle on, our thermostat, and we want to weld on the mounting system to our swing arm. And that's what we're going to do next. Now that that's welded on, all we have to do, put all the components together. And there you have it. It's a trailer hitch keg grill with some finishing features, a thermostat, and a hockey stick handle. Only thing left to do is throw it on the trailer hitch and drive it out to our tailgate with some beers, brats, and burgers and fire it up. If you like this video, please go to arcacademy.com for more tutorial learning videos.